So I saw there is a quote out there from a Mickey Shulman, who I guess is the creator of OpenAI or the CEO of it or whatever, or not OpenAI. I'm sorry, Suno AI. And Mickey thinks that the process of learning to play an instrument and learning to produce and record your own music is this huge drag that nobody really wants to do anymore. I mean, I can't even. There, it's the peak of idiocy. It's the peak of AI idiocy to stumble into a subject like this with a dumbass opinion like that. There is no understanding. And I kind of dovetail it with I also was in one of these comment threads and I had this sniveling AI bro tell me with just a tower of arrogance. You don't really understand how AI music is made. And I actually do, because I have been programming computers since before most of these AI bros were in diapers. And, in the most basic terms, it's a great big database, and there is software that translates what you type into a qualitative selection statement that goes and picks elements out of that database and kind of munges them together to make a fake piece of art or music. And, the internals of it aren't that important. I've actually cracked open the source code to look at it, and it's, it's very complex selection and a very complex storage mechanism, but in the end, it's just a bunch of stolen material. And my retort to him was, I know for a fact that you don't know how real art or music are made because you don't want to bother yourself with the whole process. And it's not just insulting a bunch of people's hard work and then stealing it. It's just completely misunderstanding why someone would do that in the first place. Um, I started playing music right around the same time that I learned how to program a computer. And I did both of those things because I wanted to understand them. And I have continued to put time and effort and all kinds of emotional energy into doing those things precisely because they satisfy me in a way that most activities cannot. And to breezily dismiss it like, well, nobody really wants to do that. Well, if it were easy, everyone could just do it. It's something I remember being told in my martial arts school. If this were easy, everyone would be a black belt. And the fact is, it's not. And it's the achievement that matters. It's the I earned this because I spent time working on it. And I am at great pains to explain to people, I did not have musical talent. When I started, people begged me to stop playing because I didn't know what I was doing and I had not taken any lessons and I was just barefacing my way through it. But that is how it's done. One of the most important pieces of commentary I ever read on the topic was an interview with Jaco Pastorius. And this was when he was still alive. And I had only heard, I had a magazine with one of those records that you could tear out. And it was a thin piece of plastic type record. And I had heard the song Continuum that he put on his first album, his first solo album. And his comment about how to learn music was that he would put his bass on in the morning and walk around the house all day playing it, just endlessly playing on it. And so I took from that I needed to try to do that as much as I could. And I did. I practiced for hours and hours and hours every single day. And, practicing means creating notes and runs and things that ultimately can lead to writing songs. Songs are written out of pieces of music that come into the musician's head, and they go, I like this. Let me expound on it. Let me develop it. And you get good at writing songs by doing it a lot. I remember running across, I wish I still had it, but I had a little notebook of staves that I'd bought that right around the time I first started getting this idea that I wanted to write music. And I had a book of Beatles songs, which I've bought a reprint of, that I could see how they were notated, and I figured out how it kind of worked, and figured out how the chord symbols worked, and I wrote down a song that it was pretty bad, I'll have to say. It wasn't really organically created. I just sort of I said I need to create a song, so I took the verse, chorus kind of structure without really getting what was going on. And I kind of mashed together some chords that, the basic chords you learn on a guitar when you first start playing it, the E, A, D, G, that kind of stuff. You can make a song out of that. It's no shock that a lot of punk songs and a lot of simple rock and roll songs are E, A, and D, because they're super accessible on both the bass and the guitar. And, it wasn't very satisfying, but it was my song, and I wanted to do more. And eventually, I started learning to throw away things that weren't working. And it's probably the most valuable lesson, is to go, I love this, but it isn't really working out very well. And I've gone into practice and been like, we've ground away at a song for weeks on end, and I finally have to say, guys, this just isn't going to happen. We have to stop. I'm telling you all, let's stop trying to play this song. It is not working. Take it off the list. And if you can't do that, then you are going to have a hard time progressing, because you have to learn to critically throw things away that do not actually create any kind of energy. And I mean, some of these were songs we took on stage and we realized, man, nobody liked this. And so it's, you must learn to throw away. But to dispense with that entire process and call it too boring or too hard, well, if that kind of stuff is boring and difficult for you, maybe you aren't meant to be a musician. I mean, I believe in all sincerity that there is some music in everyone, and that if I could figure out how to tease it out of them, whether it's their voice, whether it's just beating on a drum or whatever, I think it's there. But you have to want to put your time in. And I've been brigaded in recent days by AI bot bros. Who knows if they're real accounts? They never have any shit in their profile. So they seem here to be mostly here to badmouth real musicians and somehow insinuate that AI will always be, the superior way. And I've heard AI music. It is bland, and it's either bland and meaningless or it's clownish and awful. But it never causes me much, it does not pique my interest. I mean, I have listened to all kinds of music, and there is mechanical music that has to be created with like a sequencer. One of the artists I grew up listening to was Isao Tomita, who largely programmed his music in one note at a time. but he had to understand what the hell he was doing because he was reproducing classical pieces. And I've got a whole catalog of classical music that I've listened to my whole life that, I've only ever heard rendered with synthesizers and sequencers. And when Tomita performed live, he would mix all this stuff in at like a central console, and he would bring real live performers along with him because I think he understood that you needed that for an audience to even want to look at. And one of these AI bros kept, snottily insisting that this AI would be much superior and that people would ultimately prefer it. And I countered with, no, actually, that's not ever going to happen. And the reason why is because I am a live performer and I have played in front of people. And I can tell you right away, if you're planning on making some sort of AI music, your jam, you're never going to get the feeling that comes to a live performer when they go up there and they risk their self-esteem and their self-image and they try on their hours and hours of rehearsal and work that they've put in the back end, and they nail it, and the audience jumps to their feet and starts applauding. You can't package that and sell it to anyone. They must earn it. There is no artificial intelligence button that would allow you to go up there and type a prompt in and churn out some, collage of other people's sounds and impulses. And then you get that kind of a response. And I know I've seen, because it would be like playing a tape recorder for an audience. And I've seen that. That's a very common thing for a lot of performers to do. And I'm usually they come up and they sing to that, or they rap to that, and that's fine. Those things are hard to do, but with a tape recorder behind you, it just doesn't have that much energy, and the audience politely, yay, but they don't respond like they respond when a real band goes up there and. They're not moving, they're not feeling, and most importantly, the music that's coming out of the speakers is it's very obviously just a recording. It's something that's been plugged in, and I'm not saying that's shameful. It's karaoke. Like, you can go to any bar in any sports bar in any town and hear people doing karaoke, and it will not get you the same response. I'm sorry. You're going to get your polite applause. Yay, you karaoke'd. It will not receive the same impact because the instruments aren't there in the air. There's a quantifiable difference between instruments that are there in the air and instruments that are being projected through speakers but aren't actually anywhere. And if it's no instruments and no real performer, I just don't see it, because the number one comment I get when I come off stage into a club full of people and they have just cheered and they've come to their feet to applaud. I mean, it's been remarkable. The more we get the feeling of what it takes to excite an audience, the more we get that. It's something you have to earn with repeated practice. They almost always have the same comment, that I really look like I'm enjoying playing my bass up there. And I am, Mickey. I am enjoying playing my bass. It's probably the peak of my existence to go stand in front of an audience and play that bass. It's the thing I live for. And there is simply no way that you can suck that into your plagiarism machine and sell it back to me in any way that could be possibly as satisfying as going up there and doing it myself. And if you are an AI musician and you think that you are ever going to get that kind of feeling, I'm here to tell you, you're not, because you're not earning it. And I don't know when the mentality became, oh, we shouldn't really try to work very hard at anything. We should just have a computer fart it out for us. But I mean, I love computers. I love what they can do. But it also takes work to tell the computer what to do and to have it do so deliberately. And when you're doing like AI art or music, you get multiple results that you have to go through and pick which one of these randomly selected assortments of things. And I mean, anyone who has used just the type ahead feature in any text tool will know that it's often trying to say things that you aren't trying to say. It's one reason I own 2 real typewriters, because I can't stand trying to type anymore at a computer prompt when it's trying to finish my sentence and like, I am not even trying to say that. It's incredibly frustrating having the machine reach up and grab the levers of my typewriter and make words for me. I don't want you to do that. I turn that off whenever I can because it's infuriating. The idea that the computer is somehow going to magically know better than a skilled practitioner is a delusion. It's absolutely delusional to think that at some future point, the computer will just magically know what you are trying to articulate. It only knows what millions of previous data sets have articulated. It does not know what you are thinking. And if we turn our thinking over to something like this, we will stop thinking. I mean, I begin to understand before, like, Dune was written before I was born, but somehow Frank Herbert knew that at some point in history, we would reach a juncture where we were letting our computers think for us, and it was turning our brains into jello. And if you think you're going to create some great, magnificent piece of art, your brain is already jello, and you already have lost the plot. The purpose of artistic expression is to bring out what is inside you. And in the ideal case, it's to do so with ideas and feelings and thoughts that are unique to you, that do not come from someone else. And if you're out there and you're AI arting or you're AI musicking or you're even AI writing, you're not doing anything creative. You are simply stealing the words and the impulses and the lines and colors and feelings of someone else and arranging them in such a way that it's not exactly like what it came from and that you can somehow claim it's yours. But it's not yours. It'll never be yours. AI art will never belong to you, the AI artist. That's why you can't copyright it. I think I have close to 50 things copyrighted in the U.S. Library of Congress. They are mine. They are indisputably mine, and they will be there, hopefully, for a long time. And when I perform these songs on stage, I do so with a passion that I'm sure that Mickey Shulman has never felt about anything. And I think his opinion about this is worse than pathetic. It's a complete denigration of all the art and music and passion and creativity that he is feeding off of to create his silly toy. AI art and AI music will go away. They will become synonymous with cheap crap filler junk that is not. It's what you would do if you were creating a low budget production and you couldn't be bothered to pay a real artist. And people will see that and feel it. And real expression will always, always win out in the long run. And if you really think that that I'm wrong, then I invite you to take your AI creation on stage at an open mic if your town is cool enough to have those. And when you're doing it, make sure you invite a real musician to come and play after you, because I want you to see what happens.